Here we are. I guess I'm leading it now that KBM isn't here, taking my place again in the leadership position.
That was a really cool. Can I just say that animation? I don't know if only we see that, but like the Rekt,
it is cool.
Drinking.
It is.
Yeah, I never saw that before.
We need to get a new one now that you're now a permanent co-host. I think the intern has got a plan to like redesign the whole design of it. Had some base takes from Kook. I think KBM is coming. We're not sure. He's definitely in chats I'm in. He has been a bit MIA for the last 2 days. Shorted the market, did a victory lap, and then it ripped right back. So who knows where that ended. But we are back. What episode are we on now?
186.
Wow. I can't believe I've done
because I just retweeted it
times with you guys.
Well, you haven't done it 186, brother. You've done about.
You've
done 10 of them.
6 or 7.
I reckon I've done. I reckon I've done at least 10.
Sorry, it's 116. I got it wrong.
Oh, 116. Wow,
that's way less. That's way different vibe.
Yeah, God, it's completely changed. Anyway, myself, Kook, OSF, we're here to talk about the market, Rekt Radio, your favorite weekly roundup of base takes around what's going on in crypto. Summer season, it still feels like crypto's been pretty busy though, right? Like most people are on holiday. CT is still here trying to catch 2x's on random fucking coins. It has surprised me at how broke the timeline seems for Bitcoin at 10% from all-time high, ETH 10% from all-time high, Solana probably, what was Solana's all-time high? Was it 270? Was it 300?
294, I want to say, was the Pico top around Trump, the day of Trump or something, the day after.
Yeah.
Around there, just under 300.
Just on 2 days ago, it was like, everyone was like, it's completely over the mark. You're never coming back. And then we've just kind of just like grinded higher again. Doesn't really feel that bad, the market right now. What do you guys take? Do you think we need to worry at all here? People always say, "Oh, September's so bad for crypto." Last September, we absolutely ripped. Like, worried about anything?
Yeah, OSF's take's probably gonna be smarter and more sophisticated, but mine's pretty simple. Like, I think I probably said this every week when we talk about this, but there's like, in my mind, there's a common misconception that rate cuts equal like all markets moon. And usually I think like all markets, or at least like sophisticated participants, try to front run the rate cuts. So, and I saw a table the other day. I should probably tweet this thing, but I did some research and I got this table of 30, 60, and 90 days after rate cut cycles begin since like the Fed has existed. It's actually more often that 90 days after a rate cut cycle begins, the market's down versus where the market was when it started. I'm talking about the S&P 500, but you know, crypto majors will just follow the S&P anyways. So I think, I don't even remember the question, but yeah, I'm super bullish, but like I'm bullish until Q4 and I'm going to hit some profit taking targets and stuff. I'm never all out or all in or all out of anything, but I think a smart time to be like, we'll get this, you know, the parabolic move everyone talks about, like fabled end of cycle parabolic move, I think will happen like on or before October, November. Like we're probably experiencing that now. And you probably want to cut like or trim or take profits before the first rate cut / like after the first rate cut, but don't be waiting like till next year.
That is a thing that always comes up, isn't it? When rate cuts start, oh, you know, this is really bad. I think normally rate cuts happen quickly when there's a recession or something really bad's happened, right? It's like, oh fuck, we need to cut rates. So often they like coincide with the markets freaking out. But I think there is, just because of that like historical correlation, that will be a popular view. What's your view, OSF?
I don't get it. Rate cuts are not bad. Like everyone's like, oh, like rate cuts, COVID and shit. Like no one knows what they're talking about. Everyone who says rate cuts are bad, 99% of them don't know macroeconomics, but probably never studied it, probably never worked in a job where it's a real understanding of it is required. Like rate cuts are not bad. Do rate cuts happen when something bad has happened or something bad is coming on the horizon? Yes, but that doesn't mean rate cuts are bad. You realize that means rate cuts are good. Like that's the thing that's stimulating the economy. So in a situation, don't forget, like the biggest bull market, you know, like of all time was fucking 2010 2010 to 2020, when you had a period of like very close to zero rates for many, many years in a row. And when rates are close to zero, there is no alternative. The Tina narrative comes back into play, and people have to go like balls deep into risk assets, right? So like rate cuts are good. Like let's let people freak out about shit. Let's have lower interest rates. That is good for risk assets. Doesn't mean that things get a bit heated and you potentially get inflation and we have some sort of blow up top at some point in time. Yes, but it's at some point in time. Things can still go a lot higher before that actually happens. And that's, I mean, if you're being a little bit myopic, you know, I don't really care if shit blows up in 3 years. I just want to get rich in 1 year. That's kind of like how a lot of people think, right? So rate cuts are good, and they're not priced in. Like rate cuts are not priced in until they happen, because people don't reallocate assets until interest rates are actually lower. Like think about it. Let's say you have some money in a savings account and it's 4% right now. If you hear that, oh, they might cut rates next month, you're not really going to reallocate it, right? But if in 3 or 4 months' time, your 4% interest is now 2% interest, you may well reallocate it. Maybe like, fuck, I need to put in something else now where I can earn a bit more, because there's no point earning 2%. And yeah, like sure as shit, there's no point earning 0%, right? And that's obviously the other extreme. So they're not priced in.
At 2% though? Do you think we're going to 2%? Like this is the thing I don't really get.
I'm just giving you numbers, right?
Yeah,
but if you start to have, you know, if you start to have continual rate cuts and consistent rate cuts, then it really changes the game, I think. So in my opinion, I think it's very positive. You're in a situation where the macro landscape in the US is still relatively strong, and it's a case of like, you know, let's just make sure it stays strong and not let things get worse. So it's not like we're going to have like a series of multiple 100 bit rate cuts, but it's a positive thing in my opinion, and the Fed has a lot of room and cushion to move stuff. Like everyone's like, oh, but 2022 and all this shit, man. Like 2022 inflation was 9% and rates were 0. They were fucked. It's like completely different to like now than it is then. So I'm just very, very bullish, and I think everyone's an idiot.
You've turned up for this one. I like.
It's a topic that gets me like really. It just pisses me off so much when I read it on the timeline. It's like fucking idiots. Like what are they saying?
I like you're muttering to yourself. I agree that there's some what I agree with both of these takes though is that if enough people believe it, it means that it'll be like more volatile. I do think that like I am more scared about like reflation coming back, if I'm honest. Like
that's the bigger risk. That's the bigger risk.
And it's just one. Now Trump couldn't really get rid of Powell, or at least like people said don't do it. So he's basically just started going after all the other governors. I don't know if you've seen this. He forced one of them to resign this week, and he said
DEI hire. Get the fuck out of there.
He made a comment this week, which yesterday I think it was, which is we have enough votes at the Fed to like force through White House policy. He's basically like backdooring the Fed. So you basically either have inflation starts to go higher, or Trump just gets what he wants and gets rates down. And I kind of think Trump's going to get what he wants, which means that even if inflation stays kind of high, I think we're going to get, look at this.
By the way, that's good for that's very good for Bitcoin.
Right, it is very well. We spoke about how if Trump fired Powell, it would probably rattle markets. He's basically cucked him. That's what he's done. He's come in here and gone like, right, well, I'm going to get rid of anyone who supports you. And look, we will have the majority shortly on the Fed board. Like a president has never said that before. This isn't like the Supreme Court. So it's kind of an interesting take here.
To me, it's hyper bearish for Trump to be muscling the Fed around. Like that's how one way or another, they're going to figure it out. Everybody wants risk assets to go up. He's going to cut rates, but this is all short-term thinking. Like I'm trying to front run the moves. And I think like ultimately if Trump controls fiscal policy, you know, one step removed, it's bad. Like the hangover to that is bad, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, monetary policy. Yeah, I agree. If he controls it, it will be. We spoke about this. Like it's not. I don't love the idea of him coming in and doing that. That being said, he's kind of done it in a way which isn't taking the headlines. Do you know what I mean? I don't really think it's front page news that he's managed to fire some second-ranking Fed official. It would be if he fired Jerome Powell. The markets would absolutely tank if he fired Jerome Powell, in my opinion. This is kind of an interesting move that maybe the market's not paying as much attention to. But I agree that if Powell walks, which might happen here, like Powell might just say, "Fuck this!" Like the way that you're talking is not how you should be talking. I think that would be very worrisome for kind of markets. I continue to think that's the black swan in this market, that Powell walks and there's like a question about whether Trump has overstepped his executive power, let's say, and that this is moving into like an authoritarian state. I kind of agree with your take there, Kook, that Powell walking is the biggest risk to markets here. May happen. What would you do if you're Powell right now?
Well, it depends who's paying me. I got a 50% conspiracy theory that he's owned. I won't get into by who. It's pretty obvious if you follow my account. But actually, no, I never actually talk about this stuff because they're the only guys that'll take you out of Twitter completely. But yeah, I got a little conspiracy theory. He probably should have been cutting rates already, right? And it's a bit weird how he's acted, and like the juxtaposition between him and Trump is odd. Trump hates him so much, right? Like, so I'm not sure. I think the whole thing is a bit weird with Trump and Powell. Maybe it isn't as bearish as I think. Like, I always had this idea that any perceived influence of the president on the Fed was bad, but Trump's done a ton in the last year, and it's like short-term volatility and it kind of goes away. I don't know, man. I'm not really, I don't even believe inflation. Like, I think inflation's fake. So I think for me, like, the bad outcome here is that Trump muscles the Fed, he gets rates down like really low, really fast, and then they have nowhere to go. And so I'm just trying to protect myself before that like eventuality. Like, I'm not going to be like Q2 2026 praying for another rate cut. Like, I'll be already like, the cycle's over for me at that point, pretty much.
What I would say is that over 50% of the people that I've spoken to think that they're going to get out in Q4. Like a lot.
Which also, that's bearish too.
It's a very consensus view that Q4 is time to get out.
That makes me want to agree with OSF and be like, yeah, that's the dummies sell it all, and then we get the
you get out now
after. Yeah, it could be now. The thought crossed my mind last week. It's been a crazy week and a half or whatever, right? Like, we're like mooning. Like, I felt old school crypto moon boy emotions, but I'm like, we're mooning and then we're dumping and it's over and now we're back again. Like, it's been 6 days. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe everyone's front running the consensus move of Q4. Like, what's happening here?
I think there is a bit of that. There's no doubt that like my portfolio is definitely more defensive than it has been. I told you I've been moving into Bitcoin. I kind of got out of a lot of my ETH trade, maybe a little bit too early, but I got out of it and moved it into Bitcoin, and then I bought a little bit of Link. But like, it's been a much more defensive portfolio than I've had at other stages of this year. But what did you make of this week? So this week we had basically a guy with $27 billion decide that he was going to go onto Hyperliquid and just smash down Bitcoin and buy ETH. And the market kind of freaked out for a couple of days and then has kind of stabilized. Was that the bottom for like the Bitcoin ETH ratio? Do you think it snaps back, or do you think that's like the first move here? Because it's a very public trade to do something like that, in my opinion. And he kind of got what he wanted, but now, I don't know, I sneakily like Bitcoin again.
I think what happened there, like at first I was like, oh shit, alt season, like look, this guy dumped all his Bitcoin to like buy ETH. And then what you realize is Bitcoin is still the king and everything is fucking correlated to Bitcoin. And remember, like all these other alts, they all have meme coins, etc. They all have market makers, right? And a lot of these market makers receive tokens as loans. They have options to purchase those loans, etc. But they hedge them. They're all hedged, right? And many tokens, some tokens have perps they can hedge with, some tokens don't. But to hedge market risk, generally speaking, they hedge with Bitcoin. So when you have like a massive nuke in Bitcoin like that, they're like, oh shit, like my Bitcoin's short or whatever. But I look at the portfolio of my book and Bitcoin's down a lot. It just means all these other alts have to be lower, and they just end up nuking all the other like positions they have in alts and memes and all that kind of stuff. And then everything's lower. And then despite that massive rotation into ETH, people who own ETH are like, fuck, well, the entire market is down, I'm gonna like sell my ETH as well. So it's a bit weird because like, you know, a massive trade like that, we just rotated from one coin to another coin, technically speaking, is market neutral. But because it's Bitcoin that got sold, it nuked the entire market. And if it was the other way around, that wouldn't have happened. You know, if someone like had sold something to buy Bitcoin, it would have been like, whatever, like, you know, Bitcoin's up, like the asset that got sold is down, but everything else would probably be higher. But because Bitcoin got sold so aggressively, it took everything down with it. And it kind of ended up, that trade ended up backfiring in that guy's face a little bit. So I don't know, like I think I still think ETH BTC will go higher, and I think we'll see more rotations, but hopefully and ideally we see it done in a way where it's not just like full stacking shit like that, because that's just too much volatility for this market, which is still, to be honest with you, very small and not that liquid to handle.
Yeah, what did you take of it? Make of it, Kook?
Yeah. Okay. I think I should preface it by saying I'm massively like a Bitcoin maxi, so I'm a little biased in how I look at this. But I thought it was good. I think that Bitcoin, like, it seems to me like we won't see Bitcoin, I don't want to say ever again because then it'll happen tomorrow, but it's not going to go under 100K. Like, that's a massive amount of Bitcoin to get sold and rotated into ETH. And like, yeah, I guess the question for me right now will be, are we at the beginning, middle, or end of alt season? Because it's clearly alt season. Like when Bitcoin dominance drops off a cliff, it's alt season. It's the same every time, every cycle. If you go back and look at like Bitcoin dominance, alt seasons are really short and really violent, and then at the end, everything will consolidate back to Bitcoin anyways. And so I think, like, I agree with OSF. Like, I think ETH will go higher, ETH BTC will go higher, and I think, I don't know how high though. Like, if we get the fabled 10K ETH or whatever, the only thing I'm looking to do, like alt season, right? It's the end of cycle. I've said it a lot. All I have now, I hold a couple memes, Bitcoin, some ETH, Sol, and Hyperliquid's the big bet because Hype BTC is going to go up forever. Like, that's going up until the end of next cycle. They changed crypto. They'll be half of all blockchain revenue. Like, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I thought the rotation was weird. Like, aside from the price and like how it's going to impact my cycle trade, I was like, who the hell would dump this much Bitcoin for ETH? Like, you're crazy. But you never know how much Bitcoin some of these ancient whales have. Maybe it's what's his name, Dorsey, who, the weird theory that he's Satoshi. I don't buy it, but yeah, there's these weird shadowy guys that have tons of Bitcoin. So maybe it's not a huge allocation like shift for them. But yeah, alt season, beginning, middle, or end, that's the big question. And I think it's the middle. I think that ETH BTC goes higher, but then eventually it gets nuked. And that's the like trade you got to figure out right now.
Yeah, I'm of that view too, is that I think it's a more precarious, now that it's had a really good outperformance, I think it's more precarious. I still own ETH, I own Bitcoin, but yeah, that's the reason why I kind of reduce some. I've been looking a lot at JLP. I don't know if you guys look at this. Do you guys look at this?
Yo, JLP.
I like it, and I used to own it. I don't own it right now, but do you look at it as an indicator, or you just like look at it because you like it?
Something to own, man. Like, this thing is just up only. Like, if you bring up the chart of JLP, this thing just never goes fucking down, and it's making like 20 to 30% a year just in terms of yield, and then from the fees, it's like HLP or Hyperliquids, and then you basically own Solana, Bitcoin, ETH. You own a bit more Solana, so I probably would hedge some of that out for Bitcoin, but I like that. I like that as just like something that if you just want to own something for the rest of the cycle, I think there are certain, like, look at this fucking chart. Like, this thing.
Yeah, the APY, it's always like 20% or higher, right? Like, yeah, it can get really high. I like it too. I like it a lot. Like, I'm a big proponent of the HLP vault, which is like a similar idea, but just USDC. So I think exposure to like a perp DEX in this way that does a lot of volume, and like the asset mix in JLP is pretty nice. I agree. I think there's too much Sol, but and there's too much stables. But I guess that's why I like JLP, because it's Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, some stables. I would tweak the mix a bit, but like, whatever. Look at the chart. I agree with you. Great asset.
Yeah, I just felt like this is quite a simple one. for the rest of the cycle. You can actually lever trade it as well on Camino, so you can do like 2x levered JLP because it barely, the drawdowns are really small always, at least never that big. But that's what I've been looking at, and I just feel as though I don't know. I think Bitcoin is going to be this. Will come back with a vengeance, but like out of ETH, Solana, and some of these other alts now, I think it's a bit more. It's a bit more mixed. Meme coins, on the other hand, are really getting screwed here. Fartcoin down to 800 million.
Wow.
Just got flipped by Whiff. Don't know if you guys saw that.
Have you seen that chart all over the timeline of unique traders on Sol for like the last 2 years or something? Man, it looks horrible.
Kanye was just like the final kick in the teeth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just felt like there's no winners happening right now. Also, just the owners.
Yeah.
I know some people like Sol is up 7% today, right? And the Fartcoin's up 2%. You know, Bonk's up less than that. Like, even if you were like, oh yeah, I'll own Solana beta trades here, they're just not the right beta trades. The ones that are up the most are like Jupiter, Jito, these sort of things. The DeFi stuff is actually the new beta for the chain. I've tended to find way more than the memes. Like, if you owned Aave as an ETH beta, that was a decent trade. If you owned Pepe, that was a terrible trade. If you get involved in a Solana beta, I would actually stick to DeFi. Weirdly,
I'm underweight memes, I would say, but I still do have, like, I had this thesis that the good betas will be the major memes on each chain. So like, I own some Pepe. Well, I'm long Pepe. It's like I'm levered long Pepe, and then I got spot Pepe, or sorry, not Pepe, PENGU, Fartcoin, and Mudang, just because I love the hippo. But like, I plan to be out of all my memes like around now. But yeah, they didn't lead the risk on trade at all. And it's funny to me that that's how it should happen. I should look like a fucking idiot because Jupiter finally goes up after like going down only for 2 years. But it's been interesting, yeah. Rotation away from memes, no unique traders. I think it's under 1 million. Like, I mean, I'm happy to hold this stuff as long as you own the, like, I call them multi-cycle memes, but like Fartcoin surely is going to pump. The all-time high is not in. I'll bet on that. You'll see an ETF one day. Like, Pepe probably going to go up one day, but you might be waiting a while. Like, it doesn't look like this is a very out of fashion trade now. Not what I expected.
What I was saying today on one of the shows is I actually think Fartcoin is a better levered long here than a bit of your portfolio. Because my honest view is that it's probably not going to go that much lower, right? 800, is this really like a $500 million meme anymore? I don't think it is. I think the market would really have to nuke for that to kind of happen again. But it's like maybe not the best performer, or you'd be sitting there for ages until that one day where it just like 2x's. So I kind of like it like a 5x long, and you just leave that there and take out the rest of the capital and put it into majors. And I think that's the case for a couple of these memes, right? Like Pepe would be another option for that, right? Like Pepe's basically gone right back to where it was before ETH pumped. It's like it's a very frustrating trade, Pepe. So, but
yeah, it's extremely frustrating.
That much lower, right? It's just sitting there going like, I'm just going sideways for a bit here, guys. And I kind of feel like they're better levered longs than they are outright.
Yeah, I'm levered long Pepe for that reason. I kind of think the same, and I never talk about it. That's actually the second time I've said I'm like long Pepe. I tweeted about it the other day though, like 3 or 4 days ago, and the comments were like basically just all FUD, and they're like, "Oh, Pepe's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't even have a community." And I take that as being very bullish. Like, Pepe's beyond community, doesn't really need it. But yeah, it's I don't know how long you might have to wait in some of these things, but it'll happen. If you sell it the next day, it's going to 3x.
Did you guys see this this PENGU interview that happened this week? I think I sent you parts of it, OSF, saying that they're looking to tokenize their stock. They're looking to IPO. They're looking to do all this sort of shit. Is PENGU kind of, that one's down a decent amount from where it was, right? Like down 50% maybe from that high.
They're cooking some shit for sure. Like,
they are cooking, right? I can feel it.
Basically, any discussions that I have on Rekt, I know that PENGU will already have had them, and I know PENGU is probably at a much larger scale. So knowing what I know in terms of the discussions I've had, I can only imagine the type of shit they may have coming if they can pull it off. You know, all this stuff is like, can you pull it off and do the deals make sense for you? But a lot of interesting shit happening behind the scenes that 99.9% of crypto Twitter are unaware of, and all this shit is not really in the meme coin world. It's in other stuff that I think a more traditional boomer type base can get behind. But there's a lot of interesting shit going on like in the background, I think, which I think comes to fruition if you have a bigger market rebound, because people will just FOMO to get that stuff over the line. But yeah, I can only imagine that PENGU have there's some very interesting things that they will have cooking for sure.
What did he say in the interview, Mando? I didn't see it, but like I've speculated that they'll IPO Igloo or something like that.
He said a few different things. He said they asked, "Oh, have you thought about tokenizing your stock?" And he said, "Oh, basically, yes, we are about to do this." He also said he is looking to IPO in 2 years. He also said over $1 billion of DAT interest has come in and asked him about PENGU. So I guess you probably hear about some of the stuff that OSF's been hearing about, but like there's definitely interest there. And I think out of all the major memes, like let's say above $1 billion memes,
Right?
It does feel like the one where I actually still think could keep going versus some of the others. Like it's probably worth a spot long rather than like it's not beaten up that badly. It's still up 2x from where it was in July, right?
Let me put it this way: despite the little bit of a market wobble we've had, there has been a fuck ton of money from TradFi coming into crypto. A lot of it through digital asset treasuries. The natural thing that happens is once one asset does really well, people want to like gamble on other assets and people want to get further down the risk curve. Now, these people putting in money who are not just like, 18-year-old Johnny in middle America punting around meme coins. They're people who big family offices, like, high net worth people who are older. They can get behind the story of something like Ethereum or Bitcoin as real things. And as when they get further down the risk curve into other stuff, there's only really like a handful of things they can look at, right? Like these guys aren't going to be like, oh, get me a digital asset treasury on fucking, I hate to say it, but on Fartcoin. Like these guys are not going to put real, and I thought, these raises are like hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So no one's going to put that much money into something like that. But if you look at something like Pudgy Penguins, where it's like, okay, hey, here's some real IP, here's some real revenues behind this, this is real business. This is something that makes sense in multiple different from multiple different perspectives. Yeah, like I can get behind this. I don't mind, a certain allocation of this DAT being behind this, which is sort of like my higher risk trade, if you like. But that bucket, there's only a few things that fit into that bucket, right? And it's not your regular Solana shitters. And that's why I think something like PENGU is quite interesting. And there's probably some other tokens out there that falls into that bucket. But I think the DAT stuff like started doing really well. Then it's like not died, but like it's gone quiet a little bit. But that happens in every market where you have this big boom, then it all sells off, and then you have like that second run, which is when shit really starts to kick off. So I think we'll see more and more of that as the year progresses and more money coming into that. It's like SPACs, like SPACs started off and they had that crash and they just went crazy for a while, and then the whole thing blew up. But for a while, they were very, people made a lot of money on it, and depending on how much leverage is taken in the stuff, maybe it doesn't blow up, maybe it does. I don't really know, but I still think we haven't seen the true strength of that move yet, and its implication on tokens that would like theoretically qualify. I'm saying like you have to be able to explain something to a 50-year-old boomer who's not really in crypto. You have to be able to explain the thesis to them. And this is like we're going to like from left curve land to mid curve land, because this money is mid curve money, it's not left curve money. So if you're not able to provide an explanation that a mid curver would understand, then you're probably not going to be able to get it into this pool of capital. And I think you're starting to see that sort of play out. If you look at the performers as we said in the last, month or two, it is stuff like PENGU that has done better. It's stuff like some of these other utility type tokens that have done better because you can actually pitch it to where the capital is right now. So if you can't pitch your coin to a 50-year-old boomer, it may not be part of this, this new bucket of coins that I think will see a bid over the next few weeks and months, possibly years.
If he was to do an IPO and they tokenize it, do you reckon? I mean, you went through that with Rekt. Do you reckon it's now the sort of environment where you could just give it to all the token holders slash NFT holders, or do you think it would have to still be like this whole KYC process that we had to do?
It's a tricky. I think the problem that they will have, let's say they do an Igloo tokenized IPO. The problem with that is people will struggle to understand where the value sits, because you will have abstract chain, which sure, it generates fees, etc. But it is sort of like I want to buy this because it's a Luca thing, or I want to buy this for the sentiment. You'll have the PENGU token, and then you'll have an Igloo tokenized equity, but there's all these degens trading it and stuff. So from you have like this liquidity in this ecosystem split between 3 different tokens, which all feel sort of like the same thing. So it's a tricky one, because like right now, if I'm like, okay, shit, I want exposure to Igloo, what do? I go out there and buy PENGU. And now if there's Igloo tokenized equity, what do? Well, I'll probably sell my PENGU to buy Igloo, right? So it's solving for that problem. And I've thought about this many times with Rekt, and I think if anyone else gets exposure to it, they have to buy Rekt coin. There's nothing else they can really do. But if we have Rekt Brands Inc. tokenized equity, then it's kind of a little bit confusing. Like, what does that mean the token's worth? Yes, I get it. We talk about all this like intangible brand stuff, but if people can then own like the actual equity in a tokenized format, it makes the mind a little bit confused, I think. So
it
there
does.
has to be a smart way to sort of like button everything together, I think.
You'd have to work out a split basically between them in some way.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to IPO, like let's say even if you IPO'd Rekt, right? You'd have to work out how to find a split between the shares and the
yeah, maybe you could burn tokens for equity, or maybe you could allocate equity. It'd be kind of crazy, right? And that would make the token, be materially higher than where it is now. But that's the kind of stuff that I think is quite interesting, that we'll see over time. I think you'll see creative things on this over time. It's just obviously you have to pass regulation to do all this stuff, and it's not fully clear yet. So
burning stock for equity would be that I like the sound of that.
Burning tokens for equity is interesting, isn't it?
Is this something that I think you've mentioned this once to me, but then I didn't know if you've gone down this path. Maybe. Just the way you're talking about it, as if like, you've got something cooking, but who knows? I still like that one. The other thing I saw you going band for band with on the timeline this week was prediction markets, which has become Frank Degods is back, everyone, and he is doing prediction market spaces, which kind of tells you where we are.
Why is he doing spaces at all? That's hilarious. I like Frank.
It tells you where we are in that market. I don't mind Frank, but it's funny that like suddenly I saw that and I was like, oh god, like we've got prediction market spaces happening from LA, the LA vape cabal. What is your take on prediction markets, Kook? I was looking today at the percentage of winners who can win on this sort of platforms. So the bottom is casinos and meme coins. They're both about 1 to 2%. Sportsbook is about 2 to 3%. Perp trading is like 5 to 10%, and prediction markets is 10 to 20% of you can have consistently winning portfolios.
Interesting. Lower ceiling, no 10,000 X's, right? I think we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, what's my take on this? I think, how do I say this? We're in the gambling super cycle. It's longer than a super cycle, right? We are in like the era of gambling. It's the gambling eon, because you can no longer, like, social mobility globally has disappeared. You cannot get a job or work hard or do anything that changes your socioeconomic status or class. If you're born poor, you're poor. You can get a job and you can work hard, but you're never going to be on a private jet ever. Unless you're like really good at OnlyFans and you're a girl or whatever. But even that's going to dry up because AI is going to eat their lunch. But so how do you like, if you can't get rich by working and everyone wants to get rich, then how do you do it? You got to do it by gambling. All right, we've talked about that a lot. But I think that like not everybody is a trader, right? Naturally, or like not everyone's going to even develop the skills needed to be a trader. And like you can pump money into perps and be part of the like 13% of accounts on Hyperliquid that are profitable, but you'll never win. And so new, more simplistic forms of gambling are probably going to be very attractive. In my mind, like I think that the hype for prediction markets is probably because of people like me saying shit like this that gets everyone all bullish. But like the fundamentals don't match the hype yet. I.e., I don't think there's like the volume, activity, or interest, or like actual gambling dollars running through this stuff to match stuff like X partnering with Polymarket and like the Kalshi deal and all this other stuff. Like, so which makes me think maybe we're at the beginning of it. But the real thing, I think I got two problems. One of them is ideological, and one of them is I think what the prediction market space has to figure out to bring the real money in. And I think it's like a customer experience, like UX, UI. I dropped the banger like TikTok fixed bet idea, like some of that stuff. Like someone will come in and reinvent the way people interact with prediction markets. And like, we just talked about how to attract capital to some of the multi-cycle memes, like PENGU as an example, OSF saying you got to move to the mid curve of the conversation and talk to a 50-year-old because they have the money. That's true. But like boomers are going to die and there'll be a wealth transfer, and Zoomers are going to have money, and they're not perps traders maybe, but they know how to bet on if Donald Trump's going to run for a third term or not, or if that's possible, or like some other dumb shit like the weather somewhere. It's just, so I like it as a form for gambling and an expansion of the gambling mega super duper cycle. But I think that the form probably has to become more creative, the same way like TikTok changed the game, and before that Snapchat had changed the game, and OnlyFans changed the game, and like the way people interact with things that they want to buy anyways. And then my Hyperliquid shill at the end, I got a problem with the ownership models, and the real winner will be delivering all the value back to the community and the users. And so it's not going to be Polymarket, it's not going to be Kalshi, it's going to be some other thing that's Hyperliquid-esque, let's say. But that's where I say the last part's ideological. That's just me.
What if I told you that these businesses aren't like Hyperliquid though, and casinos? In that I have heard that these businesses actually lose money.
Really?
Yeah.
Polymarket loses money, or like
the market making aspect of it is actually because when you run a sportsbook, right, you have quite a high margin and you're able to hedge your losses quite a lot because there's big sports books, and like if you are, let's say you have your exposure to Chelsea in one game, you can always go onto the open market and hedge it between different brokers or different sports books. What has happened with a lot of these prediction markets is there's no way to get out of some of the risks that they provide the liquidity, and there's no hedging. So the actual although they have a market on the spread, they often get absolutely rinsed from the market making. So I have heard anecdotally that Polymarket lost like $40 million last year on this. Now they are doing massive raises and they have a massive brand value, but it's not like, for example, if you gave money to YEET, we have a provably fair, we will win 1% of the time, right? You will, like, over time you will make money. With sports books, there is a bit more variability, and there are sharp traders that make a lot of money, but sportsbooks generally, because they're able to hedge their risks, they make 2 to 3% on the
bigger, right?
So yeah, they're much bigger, and they can make 7. Often it's even higher than that. Maybe it's like 5 to 10%. These guys, although they make margin on the trading, like there's just very little hedge. Like if you go onto Polymarket right now, there is no hedging for Jerome Powell as the next Fed chair with 9 million of volume, or Bayrou out as French Prime Minister by September 30th. Do you know what I mean? Like they're doing stuff where there's no way out, and there's going to be massive variability therefore in those books. So the idea that you create a Hyperliquid style product like perp, okay, you can argue that one perp trader could like really take out Hyperliquid. We kind of saw that when the guy was doing however much, like $100 million on, was it Bitcoin or something like that? And like there was a worry that hype was at risk, or with some of the smaller coins.
Well, and
hype,
CZ and his friends manipulated Jelly that time. Yeah, you can attack it less and less as the scale grows.
Yeah, but generally, perp products generally make money. Like most perp products are making money most days, and it's not the same with these. And if you look behind, I think if you got hold of the financials of Kalshi and Robinhood, a lot of them are playing the classic, I don't know, West Coast startup game where they're building equity value to then be bought by a sports book or a casino down the line, rather than necessarily focusing on a product that will consistently make money. Because at this stage, because you're the first person to do this, you can't hedge. Like sometimes they have, they can hedge versus each other, but it's not as predictable to make money as a platform as a casino or a normal sports book or a perp platform.
What about? I mean, okay, so that the problem, assuming you can't hedge and you're gonna have to endure massive losses until you hit like some insane amount of scale. So you got to take some money. Let's say that. I'm not sure. Someone should come up with a better way to do this. I would rather not take any money. I'm not launching a prediction market, but I think it's more than just like whether or not you're doing raises from VCs and who gets the benefit of growth of the platform. It's like whether or not the platform's open. Like my favorite thing about Hyperliquid, and the reason that I knew it was going to go to $500 back when it was at 12, is because of builder codes, and it's completely open. And so they're just building a back end, and anyone who wants to own the customer relationship and build the front end like UX UI business can do that and just link into them. And actually, when they get big enough, you can't even build a competing product because all of the liquidity is there. And someone should do that for prediction markets. And then someone could come in and say, if I'm the guy that owns the prediction market, and however I've funded it and wherever the money from losses is however I've sourced that to be able to survive long enough until I hit scale, some Zoomer kid can come in and develop the TikTok of prediction markets, and then someone can design some kind of Asian cartoon prediction market or whatever, anime bets. And like, hopefully by the end of the day, I have 5,000 different customer relationship businesses. Think of it like the NASDAQ and brokers, like brokerages. There's probably 10,000 different brokers around the world, all different shapes and sizes, wealth advisors, whatever. They're all linking into the same exchange. I just think someone needs to build an open prediction market and essentially outsource distribution. Because like, what is Polymarket trying to become? Like the Binance of prediction markets? Okay, well, my favorite crypto bet just killed Binance. No one's seen it yet, but I have. And so I just don't like the centralized model. To me, it's not like, it's partly ideological, but it's partly just business. Like we've been shown another way, right? And if you can have, the end user doesn't necessarily even know this is all getting routed to the same place. They're just like, oh, I tried, this one product that's like TikTok, and then this other one like Instagram, this other one that's Real Pro looks like Coinbase, whatever it is. Like they don't even know. They're all different. That's better. The more differentiation there seems like, the better it is. That's a way to hit scale too.
I think that's right. I what I think is we are so early in this to work out if that you can even do that. Like let's play the example that you said, like the builder model, and someone comes on and says, hey, I'm going to build my own like sub prediction market on Polymarket. Let's just say it was like that. I think you kind of need to put up the liquidity yourself. They need to find a way to like share liquidity across the platform, because at the moment it's normally done on a market by market basis, because of the idea that you can't like hedge. And I don't know if like
could you have a community vault and you just attract capital, right? Same thing as HLP. I'm not very smart. That's why everything I say is just trying to copy Hyperliquid. But you're like, okay, every prediction market that's created has a 2.5% spread. Like people are giving Axiom 1% and 0.5% for bribes. And like they don't even know, like they don't care, right? Like people are kind of indifferent to fees, at least in the degen world. Now, as these markets mature, of course, there's going to be a race to the bottom on fees everywhere. But like that day is not today. So if there was a big spread built into the way it worked, and like, I mean, that's a whole different conversation, but I like the idea of decentralized like prediction markets that people can launch, but that's a whole other thing. Say they're controlled, like what gets launched, how the oracle's chosen, but the liquidity comes from some kind of community vault. And the vault is, there's a known 2% edge or 3% edge. Maybe it's too high. Maybe people wouldn't use it. But yeah, it would have to be like one massive liquidity pool for the whole prediction market, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the stuff I think, you know what I mean? Like it feels as though prediction markets are in their DeFi 2020 stage, you know, where it's like they're just kind of coming out. You're seeing the best mold make them work. I think the number of markets versus, let's say, Hyperliquid only having a certain number of coins, or a you know, a casino only having a certain number of games or a certain number of sports, like you can create a market on anything basically, would be like slightly dangerous unless they can work that out. But I agree. I think we're going to see a lot of experimentation in terms of models here. We're already kind of seeing it, right? There's lots of different people doing not even prediction markets, which feel like the big ones. They feel like very different in terms of UI, UX.
Do you guys think prediction markets are worth the hype? Like, let's back up to the very beginning. Like, is this thesis that everybody is going to gamble on prediction markets? Like, is it going to come true? I waver on this. I'm like, I don't know.
Honestly, at this stage, I'm questioning the business model itself, because if I look at it and think, how much money can you make? If what I've heard is true, that you can lose disgusting amounts a year on this, I think they need to be owned by bigger gambling institutions. You know what I mean? They need to be arms of much bigger institutions for them to like make sense over a long, long time. And then the models which are a bit more stable, like Myriad tries to do that as well. Like they're more difficult to attract liquidity necessarily. So I think we're not at the stage to know what they're going to be long term. I am fully in alignment with you that we are in a gambling super cycle, because how are you going to afford a house, you know, with that, or how are you going to re-rate yourself in this sort of world? It just has become so insane that people are going to be drawn to this. And I think prediction markets, you might be able to make okay returns on. I don't know if they're going to be. I don't think they're going to probably be as big as people think they're going to be. That's my gut.
You can't risk enough. Yeah, that's the part I come back to. Is like, you know, what is the? I don't know the numbers, but like, if you're consistently winning on prediction markets, and like, you know, what are you hitting 2x's, 1.5x? You're making 30%. And you're doing it 2 or 3 times a week, like. You know, but you're at the same time, you're on the timeline or wherever you get your degen information, and some guy, the white whale, just made over $100 million on chain in public. I don't know if you guys have seen this saga. Like, it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Mexi is trying to kidnap him. Insane story. But like, those are the. This? Have you seen this guy, the white whale? He's got a Twitter account now. I just found him like last week. But he's got about, it's around $3 million, let's say, like 2 point something or 3.1 or whatever.
I found him,
yeah, dude, he's got these big long posts about Mexi. They locked his money that's on Mexi, and separately, like on chain, he's like the 10th, or he's top 20 on Hyperliquid. It moves around, but like he's made 100 million publicly on chain on Hyperliquid on the leaderboard. This is the whole other social spectacle thing that people are not seeing about Hyperliquid, and I fucking tell everyone over and over. People need to listen to me more, man. But anyways, this is a different social phenomenon, but he's another piece of it, like James Wynn was, and you'll see bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Human nature drawn to this shit. But yeah, Mexi, to unlock his money, he published the email. It's in there somewhere, and they're trying to get him to fly to Malaysia to KYC in person, and it's like, I mean, it sounds like he's gonna get kidnapped, but he's pressing him really hard. He's like, I want to like. He's offering bounties for people that can help him find some kind of resolution to this and stuff. It's really crazy.
That's wild.
But, yeah.
Get him on the show. Why not?
Yeah. He's really smart. If you read about, he's fully transparent with his approach to trading and how he looks at the market and how he enters positions. And he talks about apex predators and reading what they're doing. And like, I think anyone who's trying to be a trader, like I'm not a perps trader. I make some trades with perps, but you know, the point is, TLDR, why I started talking about this guy versus prediction markets is these are the stories that draw money into the gamblo-sphere, right? Like this guy you never heard of, and now he's going to war with Maxi over a few million. That's like pocket change to him because he just made 100 on chain in everybody's face. And he's a nice guy about it, telling you how to do it too. You know, versus the prediction market bets like, oh, I got free lunch for a month because I was just right that like Trump, you know, wore a blue t-shirt today or whatever. Like it's not the same.
This is what I kind of agree with you on, is that I don't think you can make giga money on any of this sort of stuff. Like 8 figures, I think on a prediction market is very difficult. Whereas if you are the really good sports, like a sharp sports bettor, you can make hundreds of millions, right? Like sports bettors bought like Brentford, they've bought football clubs, they've like some of the best gambling syndicates in the world are making untold amounts of money. And I think that is because of what I just described to you. The actual operators themselves are happy to do that, like to show massive size on bets because they know over time the volume will make them money. I think prediction markets, if they don't fix their model, they are going to run into the idea that they can never give you the size for you to make hundreds of millions or tens or even tens of millions. And I think Hyperliquid can, because they know they're going to make money, right? They know they can afford that guy to make $100 million because Hyperliquid makes, what, $3 million a day? Like, they're fine.
Oh, that's low. Yeah, I think 5+ now run rate.
Right.
It's,
five a day.
And they want your size. The more size you bring, the more they make.
Yeah. Right. 5 minutes left. Should we move to the giveaways? Why not? I can't believe KBM fully.
Can I just say, everybody that's listening, you should go follow that white whale guy and read his Twitter. Like read his takes on trading and read his Maxi saga. And like, I have no idea who he is, but this is a very interesting new CT character. Highly recommend go read what he has to say because he's smart.
Any other ones you like at the moment, Kook? Or is it more on the fringes of society that you follow?
I'm the weirdo in the trenches, right? That's why people haven't seen him yet. I'm just trying to give him alpha. But of new characters to emerge, yeah, he's the coolest in a long time. And he seems like a cool altruistic guy to me. We'll see. He'll hit us with the angle. He'll hit us with the scam in a couple weeks, and I'll be wrong. But no, I like him.
Yeah, ask for a donation wallet. Okay, I think we only have because we made it $1,000 because too many people were winning with like $10 bets for a couple of weeks. Make sure you're high on the leaderboard. Let's go. 3 winners, right? We got knocked out of Built for Big Moments, by the way, unfortunately. Kucho World. I don't think we've had him or them. They got rid of the music on this. I always like the music. Freaks, Double Z. Love it.
Yeah, the music is good.
Weirdos on this.
That's bullish. You want weird names. It's bullish.
For sure. And Kucho World again. I don't think you can win twice, brother. We'll go again. Oh, Freaks. Fucking
Freaks
hell.
is in the comments. Let's go, buddy.
Love it. And Blonde. Okay, nice. Should we do Lamb Chop again? Can we hear the music for Lamb Chop or does it not work? Kucho World, Freaks, Blonde. Oh, we got the music for Lamb Chop. So how we do it is $1,000 spin. You keep 500 if you lose. Okay. We gave away $4.5 grand last week. Kucho World. Who wants to go first? You want to go first? I'll go first. Let's go 3 times. Let's see who we can go. Brother. Sorry, I should have played it. I should have played it safe. Kucho, I apologize. Freaks, you want to go, Kook?
I'll do Freaks, yeah. Okay, Freaks, I know you're in the comments. I'm going to try and make you some money here. All right, we're going to go 3 off the bat because you're not going to get bitten again, just like the last time.
Come on.
2, 3.
Us in turn.
Yeah, okay, let's think for a second. So,
to the tracks?
I like to try to go to the tracks, but let's do one more jump. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Just go to the tracks. We're going to the tracks and then quitting. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, freaks. I hope you make the bag, bro.
Oh my god, this is
Doing it
going.
for freaks. Let's go. Ah!
Yes!
Okay, we gotta go. It's not gonna give you 2 in a row of that.
Oh,
Let's
no
go.
way.
One more jump. One more jump.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
Oh.
Yes. Cut it off.
All right.
Freaks, let's
Wait,
go.
$2.5 grand. Nice. Good win.
Big time,
Oh,
freaks.
still well played, I think. I think there was a lot of
Okay.
you to take an easy exit there. Freaks wins $2.5 grand. Oh, Steph, you want to do it one more time?
Do it. Jump.
Okay. You actually played a blinder last time, didn't
Did
you?
play blind last time, yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
You know what? I was actually thinking of saying not go, but I didn't want to be like.
Yeah, I know.
You can't quit after the first one, right?
Exactly. It would have been.
I genuinely was.
I mean, it was good, but this time it got you. Okay, so we gave away $3.5 grand of prizes there, or just over. Thank you, everyone. I think we'll probably do a slightly longer list, maybe $500 for next week, minimum volume. And Kook, love the takes. OSF,
That's fun.
lovely hearing from you again this week. And we will be back again next Wednesday. All the best, guys.
See you guys. Bye.
See you guys.